Hi, I'm Nick from Guiding Life. I'm talking today about listening, and this is one of today's life skills. Basically, effective listening means being able to display interest in the topic discussed so you can understand more and improve relationships. And that's a really important case, is improving relationships. This could be for partners, friends, work colleagues, anybody. When we're talking about something like listening, we must always be on the lookout for what we call teachable moments. This is naturally occurring life transitions or health events that activate individuals to discuss and adopt risk-reducing health behaviours. With this, you need to be timing formal interventions to take advantage of these naturally occurring events. Now, this dramatically increases the effectiveness of the behaviour adoption or change. With these teachable moments, you need to be able to tick all the good to go boxes. That is, being the right person to intervene, to be in regular contact with people and see the relevance of discussing mental welfare. Be present at that teachable moment when people may be ready and able to engage in talking about their mental welfare issue. Practical opportunities to discuss mental welfare. In other words, you've got to have the time and have a quiet and confidential space for discussion. To be that right person to intervene, you need to be calm. Your brain needs to be working at 110%. You mustn't be angry, annoyed, fed up, or feeling down yourself. Because sometimes people will open up when they've been drinking. And at this time, if you're not ready, then you and they must promise to make a time to have a good chat. The next thing in your toolbox is gaining permission. Gaining permission from the beginning helps people feel at ease, gives them equal status in the conversation and the opportunity to say no. So you start with words like, is it okay if we talk about, this could be how you feel, your drinking may be affecting your health. Would it be okay to discuss? A problem shared is a problem halved. Is this true or false? Do remember, we'll be asking you this at the end of this presentation when you do an evaluation sheet, so do think about it. You need to also think about the time we spend listening. If you look at it, 70% of our time we're communicating, of which 45% is listening, so we need to do it well. Ways to improve your listening skills. Firstly, find a suitable place. Maintain eye contact. Keep an open mind. Face the speaker. Give them your full attention and use active listening techniques like don't interrupt the speaker. Don't be judgmental or ignore or deny the other person's feeling, and only evaluate when finished if need be. Don't talk about yourself or change topic. Don't advise, diagnose or criticise. Don't pretend you've understood if you haven't. It's very difficult to understand some very complex issues. Think about what the other person is saying, not what you should respond with. Show interest and value in the person, indicating concern and establishing rapport. Show you're not trying to change them by telling them what you think they should do. Show you will try to understand their point of view, even when your point of view may differ. Paraphrase back to the speaker what was said to show some understanding. Use non-verbal clues, nodding, eye contact, etc. Listen to the tone of voice, non-verbal communication and behind the words. Be patient. Practice your listening skills on your family and the friends around you. To develop our listening skills, we're going to be using something called the listening wheel. Imagine you've got a friend or colleague who needs to get something difficult off their chest. How do you get them to open up? Active listening is a way of listening which helps people talk through their problems, however difficult to put them into words they find it. It sounds a strange idea, listening actively. Surely, when you listen, you don't actually do anything. With active listening, although you actually do some talking, you're really acting as a sounding board. Whatever you say doesn't influence what the person has to say, it just helps them talk. Active listening is to keep them talking. All too often we say things which lead conversations down dead ends. I know how you feel. Try not to worry about it. Although they're meant well, they don't encourage the person you're speaking with to go on. Rather, they tend to wrap up what the other person was saying. With active listening, you avoid this. Here are some suggestions to help you actively listen in a conversation, which basically splits each one into a little area, like reacting, open question, summarising, reflecting, clarifying, short words of encouragement. Also, silence. Silence can also be a very powerful element when listening. It allows both the speaker and the listener to consider what has been said and respond appropriately. The first one to look at is asking open questions. Rather than just asking questions that only require a yes or no answer, try and ask open questions. For example, instead of saying, "Has this been going on a long time?" ask, "How long has this been going on?" That way, instead of closing the conversation down with a yes or no response, you open it out and encourage the other person to keep talking. Another good example to remember is, instead of saying, "Is everything okay?" you can ask, "How are things going?" You can also use the 5 W's as well, which are all basically questions that are quite open. These are how, where, what, who, when. Things like, "What more can you tell me about?" and "How did the doctor's letter make you feel?" The next area on the listening wheel is summarising. A summary helps to show the individual that you have listened and understood their circumstances and the feelings. For example, so you're feeling very stressed by your work, but you still love your job. So what you're saying is that since your operation, life has been really difficult for you. The next area on the listening wheel is reflecting. Repeating back a word or phrase encourages the individual to go on and expand, explain more. They could be saying, "I didn't know, sometimes it all seems too much." It all seems too much? Yes, what with these symptoms, feeling down. So that is where you're reflecting and getting them to expand on what they're saying to you. Another example is, if someone says, "So it's been really difficult recently," you keep the conversation going simply by repeating difficult. The next area we are looking at is clarifying. We all skirt around or gloss over the most difficult things. If we can avoid saying them, we will. If the person you're speaking to with glosses over an important point, say, "Tell me more about," or "Sounds a difficult area for you." This can help them clarify the points, not only for you, but for themselves. Okay, we now look at short words of encouragement. This is where the person may need help to go on with their story. They need further confirmation that you are giving them permission to talk, and that you are really interested in what they have to say. It sounds obvious, but a "yes, go on," or "I see," can really give some much needed encouragement. The next area is reacting. The individual is often looking for empathy and understanding, and we need to show that we have understood the situation by reacting to it. This could be things like saying, "I'm really sorry that you're having such a bad time. I can't imagine how difficult that must be." Okay, now let's finally round up. Let's look at things maybe it's not really good to say, like "Snap out of it." Can't you cope? It's not as bad as it seems. Others are far worse off than you. That's not such a big job. That could be easily overcome. I know how you feel. These are things that you might say. You don't seem to be yourself lately. Are you able to talk about it? That must be very difficult for you. Which are the things which are most worrying you? Is there anything I could help you with? Would you like to talk to someone else about this? So there's a good selection of things to say and not to say. All of this sounds quite simple, and it sort of is. All you're doing is listening, and from time to time giving responses which encourage the other person to keep on talking. That's often the key. Get them to keep talking. Active listening is also non-judgmental, empathetic, non-prejudicial and acknowledging. Whilst much of this can be communicated through choice of words, tone of voice, whether spoken or written, is also very important. In typical normal conversations, we can have a tendency to try and build empathy by talking about similar experiences that we've had, or in giving our own opinion that may superficially support the person who needs to be listened to. The Samaritans find this doesn't actually help. It diverts attention away from the person who needs to be listened to. Okay, we're at the end now. Now, the thing to remember is that life feels far better when you have a plan. And always do try and encourage people. Come and talk to you. Always come and tell me. That's what you're trying to say to people. Thanks very much for listening. Also, fill in the form, leave it on the desk as you go out, or give it to the person they're collecting them. Anyway, have a great week. Thank you. Take care and look after yourself.